Welcome to Dental All-Stars. I'm Eric Vickery, lead mastery coach at All-Star Dental Academy and president of Vickery Coaching. And I have a very special guest today, a longtime client. And so I'm very excited to interview him today. It's Dr. Brian Nilges. He was born in Southern California, Riverside, and grew up in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And he really started out thinking, all right, I'm going to be an anesthesiologist. But then all of a sudden, I'm guessing in your teenage years, you found rock and roll. Is that what it was?
Yeah, around 7th, 8th grade. And then just took me by.
I can just picture you with the blown hair and the rocker, right? And so you were way into music through high school, and you obviously are gifted with it, and you actually had a scholarship to what would be a jazz major. Is that what it was?
Yeah, music major.
Music major. Okay.
It was a 2-year scholarship, and but you know everything when you're 17, right? So,
yeah. So you had fun trying the rock start a band thing, and then all of a sudden you've realized, all right, I got to do this on my own, and you found dentistry in your junior year of undergrad, and you never looked back. So you graduated with a physiology degree. Is that correct? Okay. Yep. In 1998 from UC Davis, right near Sacramento, California. Yeah. And then you graduated from dental school in 2001 from University of Pacific, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
All right. And then you did the Air Force thing for a while, and then you entered private practice, 2007 and 4 through 7.
Yeah.
And then,
4 through 7 kind of wandered around.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Then you bought your own practice in 2008.
Correct.
Right here in Redding, California, right where I'm from. And you've been a client of mine and a friend of mine since 2009. And the reason I'm so excited about this interview is what a transformation we've been able to do in your practice with regards to insurance dependence or independence, right? Yep. And so the end of 2018, so it only took us 9 years. We'll talk about that. Yeah. To really transform the practice. So welcome, Dr. Brian Nilges. I'm so excited to talk about insurance and insurance independence. And I really want dentists that are listening to learn from your story, how you got to this place. And we're going to show some numbers today. So if you love Excel spreadsheets, you're going to get really excited about this podcast. You're going to see it on the YouTube side. You won't see the actual spreadsheets on the podcast side, but I'll describe it to you so you'll hear it. Okay. So let me ask you this question. This is always what I see from dentists when they get out of school. In your case, got out of the military, and you're in this, maybe you're an associate and you're seeing how other people do it. And you go, oh, this is how it's supposed to be done. Right. Mm-hmm. And you decide, I'm going to participate with insurances or something like that. Tell me how that thought process started.
Yeah, well, through my associates, I was at one where, they did participate in every plan under the sun. And it was just a flood of patients, albeit probably way too busy. But nonetheless, you kind of get mindset is into like lots of patients equals lots of participation.
That's right.
And as associate, I'd see some of the numbers, but I did see one thing. This was 2008 or 9. There was
before 2008. Yeah.
Anyway, some of these plans with the Crown was for like 423. It was, and I didn't think that. At the time, I thought, well, that's a lot of write-off, but they're getting the volume. But anyway, that insurance drive is like, it's just you feel that that's the way it's done. Yeah. And when I looked at the practice that I was purchasing that I own now, you see the numbers that the practice is doing. That insurance participation, you don't know what you don't know. And that write-off aspect and all of the parts that go into that, it just is not, how do I say this? Clear. It's like, you want to, you're looking at that, well, here's the bottom line. And so these insurances are going to drive to that bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
It made sense. And so I went for it. And then you when you really start seeing the numbers come in and it's your practice and you're like, holy moly, the end of that year comes and you see what your write-offs are. It's kind of a sticker shock. So
big number. Yeah. And so what I want people to understand, we're going to, and Dr. Nilges has granted me permission to share his numbers with you, which is amazing. We're going to share the screen. We're going to look at numbers and show you what a $1 million model looks like when you're in network and what it looks like out of network, because we got a great before and after snapshot to share with everyone. So the end of 2018, beginning of 2019, I took you guys through a process of resigning from insurance participation. And we're going to show you guys how that looks. So let me ask you this. From 2009 to 2018, I'm looking at your numbers. We're talking about it. What was holding you back, preventing you from deciding to make that change before? I know 2009, 10, 11, 12, we had the economy and it was like, I was going, no, don't do that. But from maybe 2011, 12 to 2018, what was our conversations like? What held you back?
Yeah, it was a lot of you giving a few examples of other clients that had dropped, trying to instill the fact that your perception of what you think is going to happen probably isn't going to happen, but kind of driven, unfortunately, by fear of like loss of insurance equals loss of patients equals loss of revenue, which, did not happen.
We wouldn't be interviewing you if it didn't go well.
Very true. And so that was a lot of it. I mean, driven by fear, I still had a pretty big nut to crack each month, paying off the practice.
Yeah.
And, I didn't want to pull that gun, but it was definitely like, I'm telling you, when I was approaching the end date of knowing that my practice paid off, that's when I think we really started getting down to it. But that was kind of like the timeline and the logic. I think thought that loss of insurance equals loss of
exactly. I think you summed it up well with that. It's the perception that you grow up with as an associate working in a group practice. You go, oh, so I'm supposed to sign up for all these insurance plans, or what you hear in dental schools. In order to get patients, I got to sign up for all these insurance plans, not realizing that actually the insurance works basically the same for the most part. I'd say 95% of the time, the plan has an out-of-network breakdown of benefits, and they pay 100% of the cleaning appointment. It's just 42% higher rates.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing. Now, let's talk about different types of insurances, because you weren't in network with everything, but you're a Delta Premier provider.
Still in Delta.
Delta Premier. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. And when we say resign from insurance, what we don't mean is that the patient pays all of it and then they get reimbursed by the insurance company. That's not what we're talking about here. You still accept assignment of benefits, correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. And the patient's insurance plans pay you your fees, like just magically you're out of network and all of a sudden they just start paying you your fees. What happens there?
Well, they still use their allowable.
Uh-huh.
But the benefit of it is that through the good verbal skills that you provided, they see the value of the doctor-patient relationship, which is what we were able to instill and work through the transition. I lost my train of thought. You were wanting.
No, that's good. No, you're exactly right. So when a claim is sent for $110 pro fee, to X insurance, the patient standing at the counter, does the patient have an expectation that they need to pay something now that you're out of network?
I guess no,
they don't pay anything different because the insurance company pays that fee now.
This is true. Okay. Now I'm following.
Yeah. Now before you were charging $110, whatever the fee was, right? For the pro fee, and you were getting reimbursed, I don't know what, $80 or something.
Yeah. Some down to $68.
Okay. $68, 42% the average write-off rate. So we know it can be high, it could be low. All right. And you were having to write off $30, $40 for that, just that one procedure. Okay. So if that's 4% of your population, let's call it 5% of your patient population, you're writing off, we'll call it $40 for a cleaning. All right. I should type this out while I do this because this is good math for people to hear. $40 per prophy write-off. Okay. We'll call it 30. We'll be conservative. Let's say $30 per prophy. And a typical plan is going to be about 5% of your patient population. Okay. And if $1 million model, right, you have 2 hygienists working, they see about, 200 patients a month. So that means 10 people a month, okay, are writing off $30. That's $300 a month. Okay. Not too bad. All right. Times 12 months. All right. $3,600 a month. A year, $3,600 a year. Now people go, oh, it's only $3,600 a year. That's not bad. That's for one procedure.
That's it.
That's one procedure. So I want to get to some more things on why you changed your mind, what got you through this process and how it's going now. But I want to show people and describe to them audibly what we're looking at here. So I'm going to share my whole screen. And this is a tracker. Let's see what one I've got pulled up here. Let's go back to 2017. Okay. And we can see this is our KPI tracker that we use with All-Star. And you can see that, 962,000 produced, $1 million model per se. Okay. Actually in the bank, $790,000. Okay. Why? Because you had to write off $152,400 for insurance that year. It was just money you didn't want, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to have fun with this. We're going to enjoy. So you can see that his production, 962,000, almost matched his gross collections, 951, 902. So a collection rate of 82%. So for your total practice, you had an 18% write-off rate. Well, I thought you said 43%, Eric. I thought it was right. Well, no, because half your practice is cash pay, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe 25%. 25% of your practice is cash pay.
Right.
40% is Delta typically. Another 25 to 35 are other insurances. And that's what we're focusing on today, that 35%. And then about 25 to 35% is cash pay. That's a typical model for a practice. Okay. So I want everybody to pay attention to this number. Now, keep in mind, I didn't show you trackers 2009 through 2017 because it gets a little depressing to see $152,000 written off every year for almost 10 years. Okay. What's 150,000 times 10 years, Dr. Nilges?
That'd be about 1.5 mil.
$1.5 million. We gave up over a 10-year period because we love to give back to the community. All right. So finally, in 2017, I convinced him, hey, let's consider this. Look at these people. It was a mind shift of, right, okay, I'm not going to lose all these patients.
Right. And team, couldn't do it without your team.
We train the team, make sure they're on board here. Okay. Yeah. Now keep in mind, if your write-off rate, let's say for that plan, we talked about it being 5% of your practice. So an Aetna, a MetLife, a Cigna, all these types of companies. Okay. That's what I'm talking about. Not talking about Delta. They have about a 5 to 10% range of your practice typically is what we see. Okay. And if you're writing off 42% of the dollars for those patients, mathematically speaking, you could withstand a 42% loss of patient population within that group when you make the shift, because the other 58% who stay are paying 42% more. The math works, but that's not what we see. We never see 42% left. When you made your switch in 2018, 18
to 19.
From end of 18, beginning of 19, what was the mass exodus of patient population? Who did you see leave? How many people?
I saw people and it kind of followed their language when you would talk to them chair side. If you had to present something, they were all, well, let me see what my insurance is going to do. So it's like their insurance was their doctor.
Yeah.
And I said, I completely understand, it's everyone has budgets and I get that. But by and large, they valued I didn't lose them. The fallout was I lost some Aetna folks and some the government, there's the GEHA.
Yeah, GEHA plan.
But
Yep.
gosh, it was so small. And then the neatest thing was that when I got out of, I thought that they're going to still use the same, there's different reimbursement tables.
Mm-hmm.
So these people, I had a fair amount of clients from Costco, which were Aetna.
Mm-hmm.
And once I got out, they were paying my fee 100% for hygiene.
Exactly.
Very small amount on restorative. So that was just another fear-driven
tactic
thing. It's like, gosh, if I would have known that.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
You saw the light through experience. That's our best educator is experience. Completely. And what I try to show doctors is, and this is so good that we're doing this series on being insurance independent, right? Mm-hmm. This resignation from insurance is not so scary. So in 2018, we started having a conversation with every single patient in those plans. Right. We sat down, I trained you on what to say. It's about relationship and quality and care. And we're still your dentist. We trained the whole team on this. Okay. Yep. And in that beginning of that year, you can see that the average write-off rate was still $17,000 a month. So we're still at a rate of almost $100,000 a year. But it's decreasing as we start to reduce these plans. You can see it start to go down here. Yep. Okay. So end of 2017, beginning of 2018, we start making this change. You can see right about here after the end of first quarter, wow, it went from 20,000 a month. So at a rate of 250,000 a year down in the middle half of the year here or so, it went down to 15,000 a month in write-off. And at the end of the year, we were down to 3,500 a month in write-offs. Still not out of the woods, but we were getting there. Okay. Yeah. Now you say, oh, well, he must have lost a lot of patients and must have been seeing a lot fewer patients in production. His production for the year, remember in 2017, it was 962,000 was the production. The end of the year, the next year, it actually had gone up to 1.1 million. Okay. And his collections, if you remember, if you're listening, his collections went from 789,000 when he was deep in the insurance game, 789,000 went up to 1,010,000. And your collection rate went from 82% to 87%. We had just started. We just started scratch. We only had grown 5%. So what was happening too was we were getting better at case acceptance. We were doing better at how much dentistry we're doing per visit. It was really starting to soak in. You were really buying into what I've been training you guys on, and it was working. Okay. So that's just 2018. We have to jump to 2020 for some glitch in maintaining trackers. Did I not have a 2019 tracker? I thought I did. Let's just see. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I did. I don't think I had that tracker. So, but I do have 2020, which was, as we all know, the pandemic year. And in the pandemic year, produced 1 million, nearly collected 1 million, collection rate of 94%. So the production you were closed for a month. You broke $1 million and you collected just shy, 987,000 in collections. Total insurance write-offs for the year, about $12,377. We have a couple missing months here, maybe 20,000. Okay. Keep in mind still, dating Delta. Okay. Now I want to show you guys this year, and then we're going to talk about how we did this. Okay. This year on the year, 9,000 write-offs. Again, this is through August. He's already produced 951,000 and collected 946,000, 947,000 with a collection rate of 100%. Okay. It's just shy. It's 99.9%. We're billing also, keep in mind, we're billing the insurance fee now. We've really reduced how many insurance write-offs we do by scheduling to go with real numbers. And so everything we've done within the tracker and monitoring, look at the numbers, has said for, those 10 years or whatever, that $1.5 million loss over 10 years was, hey, why are you doing this when you don't have to do this? You don't have to participate with your insurance in network. They will pay your fee when you get out of network with an asterisk, right? With an asterisk, not a PPO plan won't. Not all plans are PPO only. You can actually look and talk to your office administrators and say, hey, when you get a breakdown of benefits, do you see in-network, out-of-network benefits examples? Yes, they'll tell you yes. If it's a PPO only, they will not. That's a very small percentage of the people out there. And they have options to opt into things. And what your office administrator will tell you is, oh, we see these breakdowns where they pay 100% of preventive, 80% of restorative, and 50% of major of your fee now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we go back to that question. Well, here, let me ask you this. Looking back, what would you have done differently?
If I would have, I guess, I think that if I have seen more documented evidence that, listen, here's, if I could maybe like do a little bit more research into it.
Yeah.
And well, and just taking that leap of faith on it, and not to say I wasn't believing you, but like not operating on the old thoughts of like insurance, you got to participate to have the patients. I mean, they always say, well, it's 30% that you're writing off is your free advertisement, you know, and then make PPOs work for you. You'd see that in some of the dental journals. And but really the things that I would be different would be to, you know, believe the examples that it could be done, and just know that if you can talk to your patients and have a good relationship with them, that's so much of the most important part, because they don't want to go down the street and start all over again when they like, man, I really like you, Dr. Nilges. And so that you could believe in that you do have a good relationship, then I probably would have done it back in the 2012 and not have written off $1.5 million.
We won't talk about that anymore ever again.
That's under the bridge.
Yeah. The funny thing is, this is why you're on here, because there's someone in your position. It's their 2012, it's their 2013. And they're wondering, I wish I had an example of someone on the other side of this that tells me it's possible. I was talking to a young dentist right out of school, and I was explaining, you know, what type of practice that you're looking for to buy, help, you know, younger dentists searching and evaluating practices. And I explained this type of practice. He goes, that's a unicorn. That doesn't exist. I go, of course it exists. But the brain has been washed by experience that more insurance participation, more patients, more income. And in fact, it doesn't work that way. Now, the numbers are pretty much the same. People look at that and go, well, you're only collecting $100,000 more, Dr. Nilges. What's the big deal? Now, what we didn't show you was the number of patients that you're seeing. You're actually seeing fewer patients on your side now. You're not running around as much. Talk about that, how that's changed.
Again, through great coaching, letting you know that with good verbal skills, you can get buy-in from the patient to see the logic of not putting off things. Like, well, if I just kick the can, we'll get this done. But if you start to show them that the cost of kicking that can down the road, they start to get that. And it starts to really make sense. And that again is, you know, with getting your team involved, because you just can't be the one. He's got to be transferred from the front to the back. You know, and sometimes they surprise me. I'll see more on the schedule in that block than I anticipated, for not so much from a work hard thing, but I'm like, well, great. They got the gentleman to buy in to do the whole left side or something. So yeah.
So really what you're describing, and I talk with clients about this all the time, is more dentistry per visit.
Yep.
And you got to have the right verbal skills to get the patient at that point, meaning they're not hindered by their insurance. This is what I hear from, just got off the phone with a client, new client, and heavy insurance participation, which is fine if you know how to make that work. I can also talk to you about that if you're feeling stuck to do that. But I want you to make that decision. But she goes, before I found out she had heavy insurance participation, she goes, you know, my demographics, they are very financially conscious. They just won't do more than what their insurance covers. They won't do a lot of dentistry. And my office manager had to move, and she just moved like, 20 miles in the state they're in over here. She's like, everybody's saying yes. And then we got to the thing. I said, well, you're setting yourself up to attract a certain type of patient. Are you in network with my insurance? And not that we can't handle that phone call and convert them and say, yeah, we take your insurance. Absolutely. We can train that. But you're like, yeah. And then just the quote cheap patient is coming to you. And you wonder why you're not doing quadrant, arch, side of mouth dentistry when you sit down with a patient. So your stress level has gone down then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
You're seeing fewer patients.
Yeah. Yeah. You start getting a well-oiled machine. You in that day, again, like ideal scheduling, that was not, through the high participation, working your tail off to that 5 o'clock time, and then overtime runs in because they got to turn the room. Now it's an easy soft landing, but you've still made your production in the day. Granted, financially, that's all wonderful, but the balance of your day to decrease stress that's immeasurable.
Yeah. And as my dentist clients, this is my 20th year, Dr. Nilges, in coaching offices. So all of my October. So, actually, just at some point in this year, I got to look up when Dr. Vetrano, my very first client, I think it was October of 2001. But when you see my clients I work with for years and years and years, age, right? We all get older. As they hit north of 50, they start going, I don't want to work this hard. Why am I doing this so hard? And in fact, in 2004, the first client in this town that I helped resign, I won't mention his name, resigned from insurance. And that was out of Delta. He was already out of everything else. He's never looked back. And he was one of the ones that you were like, so is he still, you kept asking me, is he still out of network? Is he still making this work? And you kept asking me about that, right? And that was one of the examples that you finally like, okay, I want to do this, right?
And very busy. Yeah. And still very busy. And that's that was like, okay, let's put it on. And just going back to that 18 was just instrumental, is more for looking at why I didn't do it in the real time, is that I just had that thing, like, if I cut the insurance, I'm gonna lose patients, and then I'm not gonna be able to make that payment for the loan. Yeah. So the 18 is critical.
You felt like, okay, if I'm going to take some risk, this is the risk I'm going to take it this year because my practice is paid for now. I'm going to go for it. It was your 10-year loan. You were done. I do remember that. And timing is timing. It just happens when it happens. It's never too late to do this. You were 10 years into your practice owning it, and now you're more efficient. You're earning more. And in a time where hyperinflation is causing us to have our employees want raises, you're able to do that. You're not looking at your insurance company going, hey, insurance company, will you raise my fees? Hey, boss, can I get a raise, right? Your insurance company's here. You work for them because they dictate your fees. And then you got to tell your employees, I can't give you a raise because insurance company isn't giving me a raise. And they go, bye-bye, see you later. You have the flexibility to look at your numbers and go, okay, well, I'm going to do a fee increase, 5% fee increase. Is that what we did?
Yep.
Okay. And then you're able to say, you know what, team? Let's do this, right? Sure. Let's give you this bump and help them understand the business side of it as well. So here's what's going on right now, Dr. Nilges. Somebody's listening to this.
Okay.
And they're stuck. And a lot of doctors I work with are analytical. They're C personality types like yourself. You think and you think and you think, and there's that potential for analysis paralysis, and you need information. You want to make the right decision. You don't want to risk the wrong decision. There's someone out there who's hamstrung in this PPO mindset. And so if you had something that you could share with them, what would your advice be to them? Not like go to Vegas, but what would be some smart advice you could give them?
Invest in holding time in your schedule for team meetings.
Good.
So that everyone can get on the same page in music. And, do some one-on-one talking with your team. Do proper preparation, and with the analysis before you jump, check twice, cut once, is great. And, analyze your relationship with your patients. If I just feel that if you feel that you've got those great relationships, then you really have nothing to fear on that to go forward. And that the after look back on the hindsight 2020 is, I really could have done this earlier. So don't be afraid. As long as you get good analysis before you jump, I just can't tell you how predictable it is and looking into those insurances that your PPO here, and once you get out, you're up, and that was just like the biggest
ding, 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 ding.
Oh man.
And it's funny, it's my job to somewhat tell people what to do. But when I show doctors these numbers, I'm like, you're giving this away. It's your call. We'll make it work. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm not getting out of insurance. And it's just this mindset of there's some freedom there. Now, I want to say we can make PPOs work. We could do that. I have clients who are really well at it, but you're talking about expanding and function dental assistants. You're seeing volume patient. You'll be willing to move. And typically those that are doing that are younger. They're more energy, physically able to do it. This job is demanding, being a dentist, physically on your body. So if you're sitting there listening to this and you're thinking, man, I don't have enough money left at the end of the month, and you're looking at your write-offs and you're going, I'm writing off 20, 30% of my entire practice collections every month. Keep in mind your profit margin is somewhere around 25% to 30%. It's no wonder there's no money left. I got good team members leaving because they're getting offered more money somewhere else. You're just looking at your write-off rate going, holy cow. And then do some analysis, and we can do that for you. We can help you with that. So thank you, Dr. Nilges, so much for being vulnerable and sharing your numbers and letting everyone see how this transition happened. I know in 45 minutes, we don't have a lot of time to go in. There's so much more we could talk about, the how we did it, the what we said, and all those things. And so congratulations on an amazing practice and where you are with everything. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming.
All your help through the years.
Yes. Awesome. So if All-Star Dental Academy can actually help you, if you think that's possible, we have KPI coaching where we look at these numbers, we analyze. I always say I have a tracker for that. So we have a tracker that will help you. Yes. We have a tracker that will help you determine the population of your practice by insurance company. We then run a report that shows how many procedures you do every single month of every single procedure. And we get an average, and we say, okay, if that's your average, then with this insurance company and this write-off rate, this is what that insurance is costing you annually based on this number of patients. What would you like to do? And you get to make that decision on your own. So if you're interested in understanding what it costs you, maybe you don't make a change at all, but if you're interested, you can send an email to Heather at allstardentalacademy.com, and she'll give you just more information about what we do. You can set up a meeting. There's no risk to you, and we'll help you understand if your practice is in a great position. Awesome. But if you find out, hey, my practice is in it's not struggling, but it's not in the most ideal place, then we can help you with that. So we'd be happy to help. That's what we do. And so thank you so much for listening to this episode, and you're awesome for investing in yourself. And I really appreciate your time. And I hope that you're learning something as you go through this series with us. And have a wonderful, wonderful time looking at your practice numbers and understanding what it is you want to do for your vision. And so until next time, go out there and be an all-star.